Everyone, this is my second review ever, and I am in way over my head. And here's why. Today, we are going to be reviewing the, Kyoto Amazing Yamaguchi Revoltech Figure Complex. There's like 14 brand names on this guy. I'm just gonna call it Revoltech because it sounds the coolest. Wolverine. So he's already out of the box. I'm gonna work on getting him into some kind of manageable pose. We're gonna get him on the table here. We're gonna get reviewing, and we're gonna go over all the basics, your articulation, all the accessories, and some size comparisons, and maybe some other stuff. Because it's probably going to take me a while to go over this articulation because I'm still getting used to it. I'm going to learn some new things as I'm reviewing, and you're going to learn some new stuff too, and everything's going to be cool, and I'm not going to panic. I'm not panicking. Let's do this. Now, cool doesn't even begin to describe how cool this figure is. This is the best I can do in a few minutes. He looks pretty crazy. After watching a few reviews of him, I landed on D Amazing's review, and he had one in the background in pretty much this exact pose, and I thought it was the coolest. I couldn't find it anywhere. I thought it was on the box. The box has some ridiculous poses, and I just had to leave it in frame because it's just so cool. These phrases are nuts. They don't make any sense. They don't really coincide with any of the other ones. It's time to throw down, time to get heavy. That just ain't gonna happen. Shrek. Yep. So we're gonna get to the figure. We're gonna ignore the fact that this box says Shrek because I cannot stop looking at it because I'm just realizing this right now. And again, I'm not gonna panic. The box says Shrek. Alright, so good guy Ryu is here to help us divert our eyes from distraction, because I do need to admire this box, and you need to admire this box, because it's ridiculous, but look at it. It's so cool. These poses are so amazing, and I'm excited to attempt to get him into all these poses, especially that one. That's so cool. I'm already kind of there. So there's gaps literally everywhere you look, and there's really I'm still not really complaining. It's just something I have to get used to. I've been warned these figures are just not for everyone, and it's okay. And I feel like this style in like a War Machine or an Iron Man, just mechanized machine-like characters, is really cool. I know they make like a Spider-Man and a Deadpool. I really don't see how I personally would enjoy that. But with Wolverine, since he's so hunchy and just small, and he's just so thick and tiny, it works because he's just constantly in these like silverback gorilla-esque poses where he's just ready to take on an entire army. And he's okay. Let's get into this figure. Okay, off the stand. The articulation is nuts. He's everywhere. His arms everywhere. There's just gaps all over the place. I feel like he is like an origami of a figure. Now that's probably a weird comparison, but it's just because he's just like, look at all that space. And I get it. It's a little bit of plastic sacrifice for maximum articulation. And once he's posed, it's totally worth it. He's not loose at all. He's got a really good ankle, just it's everywhere. That ball joint is huge, but it allows you to move the foot, the feet, the peats, as I like to call them, everywhere, every angle you can possibly want a foot. The boots swivel, which is crazy. 360 degrees. The arm articulation is insane. You can get, I don't even know what I would call that. It's not a T pose, I guess a Y pose. You can get a straight up like, double L pose. Raise the roof, you can get him to do whatever the hell you want him to do. Shoulder pads are connected in the back, just like a tab, like a little tab in there. And again, you can move those any which way to make room for whatever pose you're gonna want this guy in. There's like a double ball peg in the shoulder joints. You have one in the actual arm and one in the actual shoulder, and that allows for those kind of movements. So if you want his shoulders to touch his ears, you can do that. And if you want his biceps to be able to touch his rib cage, you can do that. You can literally do anything you want with these figures. They're the Samsung of figures versus like the Storm Collectibles iPhone, where yeah, you can't do everything you can do with a Revoltech figure, but it just works. They're just beautiful. So he does not come with his claws on. Those are accessories that come with it. Those come out via the whole piece at the bottom here. Pops out. So back to articulation. I digressed there. There's pretty much most of the... You can get them to pretty much do a split by way of these thigh swivels. It's weird, it's foreign to me, but it works with these figures. So ankles, boots, knee is, on one single joint, but it goes all the way back. This is an insane design. I've never seen anything like it. You get there's a little bit of like play with these pieces, but most of your splitting and everything is done via the thigh rotation. The ab crunch here is pretty much as good as it can possibly be. It's insane. He's got, most figures I'm used to have a neck joint. This just has like a whole entire neck mechanism, a neckanism, as I am now patenting that term. Again, I'm used to butterfly joints or just a straight up ball peg. This has like flaps, as if he was like a machine and was mechanized. And if you move all that out of the way, you can really see that neck piece. It's obnoxious in an amazing way. The head, he just looks all the way up. He can just fly at you and just look insane. You can do crazy flying poses. There's definitely going to be a few pictures of that at the end of this, of him doing that. I'm enjoying it more and more as I play with it. It's fantastic. The elbow joint is like a huge ball peg, but it's a whole disconnected piece. And again, for maximum articulation, if you're bending it that way, you're not going to photograph it like this at this angle. You're going to photograph it like this. You're going to hide these, and there's ways to hide it all, so that way you are not getting all these crazy gaps. The shoulders, again, I explained, 2 pegs. And it's just, the waist, you can turn him all the way around. His belt is just kind of loose on there, floppy. But let's get into accessories before this video turns into a 40-minute video. Okay, so while he isn't exactly loaded with accessories, I mean, he's got enough articulation to make up for pretty much anything. He could have just come bare bones with no costume, and the articulation would literally be enough substance for this figure, because I can't stop talking about it. I'm sorry. Let's get into this. So I find it wild. It's absolutely crazy that he comes with trigger hands. And the openings are pretty, square, rectangular rather, and they can fit guns. I mean, he's got it's literally just trigger hands. I still find it nuts, but like I said, it's still cool that it comes with it. If you want to have him shooting people to death, you can do that. I have one of his action tiger claw palms on him already, but here's the other one. He is missing his little unsheathed claws, because I lost it. I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't get it out, and it flung out of my gigantic sausage fingers and went into the abyss of my room. I'm gonna find it eventually, but I don't have it. He's got a pair of closed fists, of course, standard. Then he's got 2 additional head sculpts. Now, he came with this one on. Just, straight face, mean mugging, just the genuine original Wolverine scowl. Now, underneath of this, there is a little ring of plastic that fell out when I pulled off the head. And I didn't realize, and I couldn't figure out why it looked so open when I put the new head on, and I'm not sure if you can see it. Oh yeah. It's this little plastic ring that goes underneath the head as like a spacer. It also kind of makes this look like some kind of samurai helmet. Anyway, still cool. And then you got this head, which this one's my favorite. He is just all disgruntled, and just, it sounds like Deadpool's talking his ear off, and he just is about to explode and turn to that face that he has on currently. And the focus is really working for me today. I'm enjoying this. Anyway, yeah, I am really enjoying that. And then last but not least, not last, the claws are accessories. Like I said before, I put those on because just, they're so beautiful. I mean, they came super straight, no warping, no bending, nothing. They're so exaggeratively huge, and I love it so much. He is like straight out of Marvel vs. Capcom, and I am here for it every second of every day. We have a slash effect, so I mean, I guess I could pose that, like that, as if he was slashing. There is a peg, a male and a female, so you can put it onto a stand. Hopefully you have other stands, because the stand that came with it is pretty poop. You can also attach it to the back of other figures. I think it's just a Revoltech thing, but they all have this little peg in the back, this little hole that those can fit into, and you can simulate him slashing through other characters. It's pretty neat. It's a pretty cool effect. Now, last but not least, he comes with a hand for a cigar. And I get it. The Marvel no smoking thing. But we're just gonna have to make our own. You're gonna have to make your own cigar. I know it's probably not difficult for a lot of you. A lot of you just, that's how you make do. If you want a figure to come with something, it doesn't. You just make it, and I applaud you for being able to do that. The head sculpts are really cool. A lot of different hands. The cigar hand is very cool. I'm sure with some modeling clay and some paint, you can really get a cool cigar going. And the face, this one, I think in particular, doesn't have a little port to plant a cigar in, but there's a really cool picture of him online. I think you can just search Revoltech Wolverine and you'll see it. He's smoking the cigar. Looks really badass. So we're going to get into some size comparisons next. Okay, so now for some size comparisons. I don't have a ton of different lines of figures, but we're going to go ahead and compare it with what I got. So we have his Mezco counterpart, who is really trying to do a split right now, and he's not trying to stand. So I'm just going to hold his Pete's. So he's a little taller, a little meatier. Obviously, the pose does not look anywhere near as good on him. But I love Mezco Wolverine. Okay, we have a Storm Collectibles, Kyo Kusanagi, who, again, Storm figures don't really count most of the time. They're massive. He is also, by the way, my favorite Storm figure, probably second to this stud. Axel Stone, Streets of Rage 4, again, Storm Collectibles. Okay, and again, Storm pretty much has their own scale. Their 1/12 scale is clearly significantly different from other lines. So let's get these boys out of here. Okay, and then we have a DC Multiverse McFarlane, whatever the brand name is, Hazmat Suit Batman. Again, dwarfs him. I was bamboozled. I didn't know the light up chest one had a gold label on the box, and I just thought they all did that, and I was wrong. But he's still really cool regardless. But that's him there. And then to throw another Mezco in there, I have a Mezco Krieg, who again is a complete badass. Super cool. So with these shorter, stockier, more armored Mezco figures, they fit perfectly with him. I mean, he's a tiny guy in general, so it just works. He's gonna be hunched over most of the time anyway, and that's just gonna be good for him. He's gonna look good pretty much with whoever you put him with, because he's just a good looking figure. Okay, moral of the story here. This Revoltech Wolverine is a fantastic figure. I'm not going to let my own difficulties with posing and my lack of experience with figures of this caliber dampen what I know this figure is capable of. I'm going to go ahead and shout out Robbie Sanchez and the rest of Open Box Mafia. Some of the best guys in this collecting community I know. They are all fantastic. There's a huge group on Facebook. It's nothing but love. Check them out. Open Box Mafia. They're fantastic. But through these people, I am able to gain access to some of these crazy figures I would otherwise be getting completely annihilated by scalpers in order to obtain. But yeah, again, all that aside, this Wolverine's fantastic. He's gonna look great. I'm gonna get him into a cool pose. Even if it takes me 20 minutes, I'm gonna get him into something cool and get him displayed, because that's just what he deserves. I am not gonna use this wobbly, loose, terrible stand that it came with. It came with a smaller piece that plugs into this front little part to go like out to the side. And I plugged that into here, and it broke. It cracked on both sides. It was too small. I don't know what kind of QC issues are normal with Revoltech, but it didn't affect my experience at all. I was hoping it was going to be able to hold them up. This doesn't hold them up anyway, but there's other stands for that, and that's fine. But again, if you are into the hyper articulated side of figures and you just like to pretty much get into all this nuts, crazy stuff, if you're really into Shrek, just get this figure. He's really cool. I will probably go back to this and revisit once I am a little more experienced. I do want to experiment with a couple different Revoltech figures and see if it is just me or if Revoltech's just not for me, because that's a possibility. But again, enjoy the photos that I'm going to probably take a few hours to take, because it is going to take me forever to get him into that many poses, and on top of worrying about lighting and angles and all that fancy stuff that I'm still getting used to as well. If you're into the hyperarticulation, get this guy, buy it. These claws are worth it alone. The face sculpts are worth it alone. The possibility that you are able to fabricate a cigar for his little cigar pinch hand is worth it alone. This box, Shrek, do it for Shrek. It's a really good figure, just do it. Again, I do plan on buying more Revoltech. I'm probably going to try to find a War Machine because that figure looks nuts. The accessories look nuts. It looks really cool. But that's for another day. And I'm going to be pumping out a couple more reviews over the next few days. Again, thank you for watching. All that cheesy stuff, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, it helps me. I don't know how yet because I don't really understand YouTube yet. But just do it because it helps. And, you know, if you're a collector, you have some really cool stuff, then I'm going to subscribe back and we're going to help each other grow because that's just the way the world works best. Again, thank you for watching all this way. Enjoy the photos. Shout out to Open Box Mafia again. They're the greatest. And Shrek. I'll see you guys around for the next one.